Hi ladies, it is week 7, day 2, May 19th, and today we are on pages 49 and 50 in your packet. Our learning target for today is I can write simple expressions that show calculations with numbers. So basically what that means is we're going to be reading through the written form of an expression and creating a expression with numbers. So starting with our guided practice, looking at number 1, it says, why do some numerical expressions, so number expressions, contain parentheses? So remember, an expression does not have an equal sign, and it wants to know, why do these expressions contain parentheses? And I want you to think about why we have parentheses and what they tell us to do, and what would happen if we didn't have them in an expression. So basically, parentheses are one way to show which calculation or set of numbers needs to be completed first. So it's really important that we have these, because if we don't, then it's going to change the answer to something else. So parentheses are one way to show which calculations or calculation needs to be completed first. Make that a little bit smaller. So we need these because it tells us which calculation that we should do first. Another way that we can determine is based off of that PEMDAS. So that order of operations, which also tells us which calculation would go first. But the parentheses, if we have them, it tells us that we want to do that first. And if they aren't there, then we have to focus more on the calculations that are taking place. All right, so we're going to skip number 2, so you may cross off number 2, and then we're going to head to number 3. So this is where we're thinking about what it is saying in written form, and then creating an expression using numbers that mimics what the word form is telling us to do. So we have to think about some of these order words that are going to tell us kind of the order that we need to make sure we're putting these numbers. So it says add 8 and 7 and then multiply by 2. So think about if I told you pick up your pencil and then write something. So the first thing that you're going to do is pick up your pencil, and then after you pick up your pencil, you're going to then write something. So that then tells me I want to do it after. So the first thing I want to do is I want to add 8 plus 7, and then I'm going to multiply by 2. But without parentheses, this is going to be 7 times 2, and then we add 8. So we want to make sure that we put the 8 and 7 in parentheses, because that tells us I want to do it first, then multiply by 2. Let's see if I can make that a little bit smaller. All right. So then the next one that we're going to look at is number 4. It says find triple the difference between 44 and 75 hundredths and 22 and 8 hundredths. And also on these, we're not necessarily solving them. We are just writing the expression. So find triple the difference between 44 and 75 hundredths and 22 and 8 hundredths. So that means that we need to find that difference, and then we're going to triple it. So difference means that we're going to subtract. So we're going to take 44 and 75 hundredths, and we're going to subtract 22 and 8 hundredths. And remember that we have to make sure that this number goes first because it's larger. And we want to make sure these go in parentheses, because if we don't put this in parentheses, we're going to have to multiply first, because remember, triple means that we want to multiply that by 3. And it can either go on the front or it can go on the back. It doesn't matter because regardless, you're going to be taking this answer and multiplying it by 3. Number 5, multiply 4 times 7/8 and then add 12. So multiply 4 times 7/8, then add 12. So this is going to be something similar to number 3. Then add 12 means that we want to do that after we multiply. For this one, so we're taking 4 times 7/8, then we're going to add 12. And looking at this one, we don't actually have to put parentheses in because parentheses are not going to change the order that we complete this, because multiplication, if you look over here, multiplication comes before addition. So we don't necessarily need to put parentheses because it's not going to change anything about this problem. All right, last one is number 6. Number 6 says add 49 to the quotient of 125 and 5. Add, so we know we're going to add, and then quotient means division. So we want to think quotient of 125 and 5 means that we're taking 125 and dividing it by 5. And then it says add 49 to that. So we're going to add 49 to this quotient. So depending on how we write this, well, not necessarily. We know that we want to do 125 divided by 5 first, and then we want to add that 49. But with or without the parentheses, you're still going to be doing 125 divided by 5 because division comes before addition. So you could have parentheses or you can leave it without parentheses. It does not matter either way. But what's really important with this one is you want to make sure that you're really focusing on those clue words. And in your resources section of your packet, which is on pages 4, 5, and 6, I believe that your clue words are on page 4. So on page 4, you can always refer to that chart. I can take you right there. So you've got this clue words, keywords chart that you can refer to on page 4 in your packet. That will also help you if you are struggling with some of those words such as quotient or difference. Those words are going to help you be able to figure out what it is that you want to do in order to solve the problem. So today for your independent practice, you have 7 through 11. And what you're going to be doing for these is the exact same thing, focusing on what those clue words tell you to do, as well as those ordering words, so such as after or then, because those are going to tell you the order that you want to write things. Make sure that you're using parentheses in your problems as well, so that you're making sure that you're doing the correct operation first when, so if someone were to solve it. Also, just a reminder, you're just writing the numerical expression. You don't necessarily have to calculate it. You're only writing it out. This is not necessarily a time that you have to actually solve it. You are just writing it out based off of the word form. After you finish that independent practice, you have questions 1 through 6 on your daily review. Just a reminder, these are all review questions. This is something that we have gone over so far this year. So these are all review, and if you have a question about them, please feel free to reach out either through reminder or through email. You can also bring any questions to our our weekly Zoom meetings on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Remember, for volume, you're using that length times width times height formula, or you're either using base times height. So either one of those formulas will help you solve this problem. But again, these are all review, and if you have a question, please feel free to reach out. Now that you've completed, or once you've completed your entire independent practice, please go to Pearson Realize and complete the 5-19-20 quick check. Just a reminder, that is the assessment portion. You want to make sure that you're doing that independent practice to really get your brain thinking about what these problems mean. then go and do the assessment on Pearson Realize. Also, just a reminder, you have to do these assessment pieces on Pearson Realize or you do not receive your daily participation points for the day. So please make sure that those are completed and submitted by the end of the day on the day that they are assigned to receive those participation points.